Ready?
Mr. President, can I ask you a quick question on Israel before you drive
No,
away?
you can't. Not unless you get in front of the car as I step on it. I'm only teasing. Okay, here we go. You ready?
See it, sir.
Democrats are set to take control of the U.S. Senate, House, and the White House.
This will go down as one of the most progressive administrations in American history.
God willing, everything is on the table.
You now can pass things without a filibuster threat. That's right.
Oh, you'll regret this, and you may regret it a lot sooner than you think.
You and I have a rendezvous with destiny. We'll preserve for our children this, the last best hope of man on earth, or we'll sentence them to take the last step into 1,000 years of darkness.
I mean, he really said that. He really said that.
Yeah, I love their responses. Okay, sir.
Oh,
He's like, listen, I'm just going to run you generalists over instead of answering the question. Seems like a good idea. And you don't hear any of this horror about how like, oh my gosh, this is an attack on democracy.
well, listen, fellas, I thought we were going a different direction on the opener. I wanted Michael Duncan to sing. You pulled a nice clip, which I thought was very humorous. It does not completely satisfy me. But what does satisfy me is that here we are with the third episode of the week, a very first.
Yeah. We promised the people a triple header. We had 3 interviews lined up for them. And folks, here you go. Episode number 3 for the week.
I will sing next week. I promise I will sing. But, we just had a really good clip of Biden, teasing that he's going to run some reporters over. So I figured that was probably the way to go today.
You wanted to get out of it. I get it. We may sound a little tense to you this today as you're downloading.
It's going to be, hey, this is going to be a wild episode.
We may sound like we're a little irritated. We'll try not to let it affect us, but let me just tell you a story and then how it relates to this program.
Yeah. Story time.
When I started in politics, there was basically one rule of communications. One rule. Do not cancel on Meet the Press. Do not cancel. It had the largest audience in politics, the most engaged audience in politics. It defined your career one way or another. And they would vow that if you canceled on them, they would spend the first 20 minutes talking only about your vulnerabilities and how terrible you were. And so for like 15 years, the rule, while Tim Russert was at Meet the Press and Betsy Fisher was producing it, you just did not cancel on Meet the Press. It always stuck with me, right? Because they knew that their audience mattered more than anything else in politics at the time. They knew it. So they could act that way because they knew it. Well, I got to tell you, after 6-7 months of doing Ruthless, our audience is that same audience in Republican politics. Our audience matters more than anybody else.
Yep.
They are more active. They are more interested in what's going on. They want the straight scoop. They don't want the bullshit media filter, the canned, consultant-driven, disgusting fucking political nonsense that they get from every campaign out there. That's why they tune into Ruthless.
Exactly.
Right? So that brings us to this particular episode and the reason you're getting 3 this week. About a month ago, we book our guests about a month out. And Hollywood Hen does an incredible job at getting everything logistically coordinated to make sure everybody's schedule works. A couple weeks ago, we were reached out to by the campaign of Caitlyn Jenner. Caitlyn Jenner, as you know, pop culture icon, also happens to be running for governor of California in the recall of Gavin Newsom. We thought, oh, that's interesting. Not exactly a perfect fit with the Ruthless audience, but certainly an interesting story. And obviously a big developing story in terms of the governor's race and the recall election in California. So, okay, well, let's see if we can figure out how to make it work. So we'll bring Hen in on this because we need some details, but she bends over backwards to try to figure out how to accommodate. And instead of like bumping guests, which we don't do because we have respect for them, and instead of changing our schedule because we have respect for our audience, we added an episode.
Yeah. I mean, that's something, right? We didn't want to mess up with anyone's schedule. You know, we didn't want to say, hey, you know, we're gonna have to push back any interviews. No, the show goes on. We're gonna put another episode out.
So all of us, and I think all of you know who listen to this, we do this for you. We do this for the program because we like to have fun with it. This isn't our day job. We all have busy schedules. We all do our thing, but we're like, you know what? This is worth it. I think the minions are going to get something out of this. I think everybody's going to enjoy it. Let's just create another episode. So this morning we wake up and we get on the teleconference that we're supposed to do with Caitlyn Jenner. No show.
No show.
Canceling Caitlyn.
Now, Hollywood Hen has got like a sixth sense about this because yesterday at 6 p.m., she's like, I'm just going to send them one more note because I just don't feel good about this. I just feel like there's something weird about their scheduling. So she sends them another note and they confirm right away. They say, yes, no problem. We're really looking forward to it. Talk to you in the morning. 11 o'clock rolls around. No show. I mean, that's basically the way it went down, right?
Yeah. I mean, they reached out to us about this interview several weeks ago. Like you said, we made it fit in our already very packed schedule. I mean, they were I think the surprise was they were they're super excited to do it. They wanted to come on. They were making the effort. We get everything lined up. We change our schedule around. I'm super type A, so I triple confirm and everything's going fine. But I woke up this morning and I was like, for some reason, I'm just a little nervous about this not going off quite right. And we're sitting there waiting for her to join and my stomach was just dropping. And I was like, I don't think this is going to happen. And while we're waiting for them, you know, we get the message, yeah, it's not going to work out for us.
So it tells you a few things, right? For those of us who've done this for a living for a while, it tells you a few things. You don't reach out to a show that you ultimately don't go on. You don't unprofessionally let people know that you can't make it.
Yeah.
Unless you are a completely unorganized shit show that is a scam campaign from the very beginning that is doing nothing but trying to draw attention away from legitimate candidates who have a capacity to try to unseat the most liberal, disingenuous piece of garbage governor in this country, maybe aside from Governor Cuomo.
He said that.
That's it. That's it. So if you're a sideshow and you just want to show up in the tabloids and pretend like the conservative movement means something to you when it really clearly doesn't mean a shit to you, then enjoy yourself. You know, like TMZ, I'm sure is standing outside of her house right now. That's fantastic.
I mean, that's the thing is, so to me, the thing is that like, it's not even like that saying that I'm not mad, I'm disappointed. I mean, I don't care. Here's the problem is it's absolutely disrespecting our listeners because that's the thing. I think they messed up in so many ways, but some of the main ways they messed up. Number one, this show at this point is where you have governors, senators, the top operatives in the game, all the 2024 contenders, they're on here, presidential contenders, folks. And to make the calculation as like some reality star that you're like, oh, you know, not even going to let them know I'm not showing up. Let them fire up that Zoom. And then we have to text their team and their team's like, oh, whoops. We just, we're not going to make that happen. We can't do this. It's like, okay. That's just because it's completely disrespecting our audience. And our audience, I mean, sure, our numbers are great, but also who listens to this show? Everybody listens to this show. We have headlines daily about Ruthless. It's in your best interest to, at the very least, show up when you asked, to have your appearance scheduled for.
We had Chris Christie on Tuesday's episode. And then we slotted in the House Republican Minority Whip, Steve Scalise, into a Wednesday episode to accommodate you, Caitlyn. And look, California recall election, it's different. So let's be practical here. The voters have two questions. First, do you want to recall Gavin Newsom? Yes or no? And if more than 50% of voters say yes, who should replace him? So we got to get to the first question over 50%. And if Caitlyn Jenner brings out a bunch of new voters, low propensity voters, liberal voters, I don't care, to the polls to get us over 50%, good for Caitlyn Jenner. But if you launch your campaign and you want conservatives to vote for you, but you're scared to come on Ruthless, don't announce your campaign. You're not ready.
I also think I was just shocked at how, successful campaigns are nimble. And so, okay, maybe they got their wires crossed on something, but we also gave them several other options. We're willing to do tomorrow and push this episode until Friday or whatever to try to accommodate. And they couldn't fit in 20 minutes some other time for our listeners. That just, to me, does not speak well of, a successful organization.
100%. 100%. I mean, the thing is that they told us basically, yeah, she's not ready. She's not ready. Well, no shit. She's not ready. If you can't actually make it to an interview that you've booked with people who are sincerely interested in your story, I mean, look, I think she's given 5 answers on who she voted for or if she voted in the last election.
Yeah, she didn't vote. She did vote. She's got 7 different positions on immigration. Like, what are they doing?
Yeah, I got it.
What are they doing? We gave her an opportunity to correct the record, as we've done to a lot of Republicans, to offer a platform for our listeners to hear directly from them, unfiltered by the media. And they chose to not do that. Which
that's the thing, is like,
everything.
It is such a gift for a conservative candidate or an elected official or anyone, any conservative, to come on this show and tell their story, because you're going to get it straight up. That's what no one else can deliver. You go on NBC, you go on CNN, they're coming after you. They'll do anything they can to destroy you. Here, we're a platform. We're a platform to let conservatives speak their mind and tell the story straight. And to throw away that opportunity, I mean, that tells you what you think of the conservative listeners and the conservative base.
I just have to say, from the Hollywood angle, the Kardashians might have warned us about this. They over the years have said sometimes Caitlyn doesn't always tell the truth, come through in certain things, and this might be one of those times. They might have warned us about this.
I mean, we've not had this happen. And the reality is that Ruthless has been going since October of last year. We have had the pleasure of having some terrific guests. Like Smug said, we provide a platform beyond the mainstream media. Tell us your story. We'll allow you to do it in a way that showcases your personality and who you actually are. We're not going to try to hem you in on every shitty, mainstream media bent. We're going to allow you to do it. The fact that this is our first cancellation, somebody who is a marginal guest at best, someone that we actually had to rattle around internally about whether or not our audience would even appreciate what they have to say. I mean, look, I don't think everybody's wild about open borders. I don't think everybody's wild about, sort of liberal extremism and social causes. Like, I don't think everybody's wild about that. Like, it was going to be a tough sell. We told people on a Clubhouse last night, we got a big surprise for you tomorrow. And they're like, a good surprise? And I was honest. I said, I don't know. We're going to find out.
Yep.
Well, I think you found out.
Yep.
I think you found out, folks. This is a fucking disappointment of the highest order. Any effort that you spend thinking about Caitlyn Jenner and what she might bring the conservative movement in California is a moment that's wasted. Focus somewhere else.
Such a huge mistake. Like, that's the thing. It's such a huge mistake. I mean, we have senators. We have members of Congress. We have governors. They don't cancel. We have actually elected governors, not just like, a reality show campaign. Elected sitting governors on the show.
And it wasn't, but here's the thing that really galls me. It wasn't as if they called and were like, look, we ran into a huge shitstorm, not of our own making. I'm sorry. Like, we can't make it. This isn't going to work for us. Can we reschedule? We had to call them to be like, hey man, why are you not on this? And they're like, oh yeah, we're not showing.
Wild.
I mean, come on. All right. So I don't want to belabor this anymore. We do have a ton of fun to have on this show. You are going to have your money's worth, but everybody deserved to know the answer as to why we're doing a third show and the major disappointment that you all now have as a result of the actions of the Caitlyn Jenner campaign.
And also, I love that example for Meet the Press. You either show up or you're going to catch it. It's a simple deal. Simple deal.
Yep. Pretty straightforward from here.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not, you know what? Last thing I'll say, that campaign's not, I mean, they're not getting elected now. You get this audience disappointed. Woo. It's over.
You know, step one for making amends would be to send us Kendall's new 818 tequila. that would be baby steps, but that would be
I love Hollywood Hen getting
the
that.
First move in reconciliation would be the tequila. So if anybody out there is listening to us, ship some 818 over here to DC.
That is perfect.
Excellent.
That is what needs to happen. So anyway, that's enough about California. It's probably the rest of the year we're going to talk about, but let's get into some serious news, because there's some stuff that's happening here that everybody should focus on. You guys have followed this Russian pipeline situation, right?
Yeah. That's the thing is the Biden doctrine is pipelines are only for Putin. You can't have pipelines here. Keystone XL.
You can have pipelines here, but those are also for Putin.
Yeah, those are also for Putin. There you go.
You can hijack ours without any consequence. We're going to release the sanctions off of theirs, and then send them cash in the process. So here's the story. The story is, most of you have heard of Nord Stream 2, which is a company that was sanctioned because it essentially delivers Russian natural gas. Is it?
Yeah. It is. Yeah.
Natural gas to Europe. I mean, it makes most of Eastern Europe reliant upon Russian
energy,
natural gas.
Yeah.
Well, Biden decided within hours, basically, of our own pipeline being hijacked by Russian internet hackers, to waive sanctions that we had placed on the company building that pipeline in Russia. Wow.
Wow.
Wow. Like, first of all, let's just take the question of what would happen if Trump did that.
No, it's incredible. And the State Department has acknowledged how precarious this pipeline is. They said, quote, "The Biden administration has been clear that the Nord Stream 2 pipeline is a Russian geopolitical project that threatens European energy security." Well, no shit. Can you imagine if Trump did this?
Yeah. Oh my God.
No, I mean, it literally would be grounds for another round of impeachment. And I'm not even making that. That's not hyperbolic at all.
They absolutely would. They absolutely would. Like the whole joke of this whole Russian collusion nonsense was they found nothing. They found absolutely nothing. And then right here in front of everybody, he's like, "Hey, Putin, here's the keys to it. Have at it." Yeah, my kid was a executive for a Ukrainian energy company, and also we'll have the press cover for him around the election time too. This is all just above board.
The sequencing here again is just hysterical. Canceling the Keystone Pipeline. Biden administration cancels the Keystone Pipeline. Russian hackers hack an American pipeline that causes gas shortages across the country. They pay a ransom to these Russian hackers. And then Biden lifts sanctions on a Russian pipeline in Europe. And the State Department has acknowledged that Nord Stream 2 and its CEO is a Putin crony.
Incredible. I mean, genuinely remarkable. Like again,
ties to the Kremlin. Russian linked. You remember all of the stories around collusion for 3 years? Everything was Kremlin linked, tied to Putin. And here it is right in front of our faces, and everybody just hand waves it off.
Well, we're gonna get into that because we got a next segment on what you're talking about right now. But I want to put a bow on this in one simple way that I think everybody will understand. Despite the fact that our media was consumed with the idea that there was Russian collusion in the 2016 election and somehow that's the only way that Donald Trump won, despite the fact that everything was Russia this, Russia that, half the libs in this country, more than half the libs in this country, have their mind polluted to the point where anything they disagree with, they think is Russian, right? Like they literally ruined a generation of people who watched too much MSNBC and CNN.
Right.
Right. But here's one thing that never happened during those 4 years during the Trump administration. Russia didn't fuck around and find out.
Nope.
They didn't.
Nope.
They didn't hack pipelines in America. Right. What I remember is that their bases got bombed in Syria. That's what I remember.
Yep.
Right. All of this Russian sympathy that apparently the United States was suffering under during the Trump administration. Well, the Russians didn't see it that way.
And beyond that, the media straight up created stories like there was Russian bounties on soldiers, which has now been shown to be absolutely completely made up.
Completely made up. So let's transition to our next topic, because this one, I know that Duncan, it'll be the old school Duncan with Duncan. Where you just sort of shoot his ass out of a cannon and let it go.
I mean, look. Number one, we just talked about the pipeline and lifting sanctions on a Putin-linked, Russian pipeline into Europe. All of those professional Russiagate grifters, the Louise Mensch, True Facts Stated, that game theory guy, Eric Garland. Where do you think they are in all this?
I don't know. I can't see him.
Oh, that's it. That's right.
Oh, I love that.
It's just crickets.
It's
just crickets. I went through all their feeds. Suddenly, democracy isn't in shambles. Biden isn't a Putin puppet. Everything's normal in Russiagate world, apparently. But, it isn't just the pipeline, obviously. The New York Times published an article detailing how Fusion GPS, you may remember Fusion GPS, they were the opposition research firm that was hired by the Clinton campaign to, put together a dossier, the dossier on Trump's links to Russia.
PP tape.
The PP tape, right? Well, turns out in this New York Times article, it was all fake.
All of it.
It was all fake.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, like, you're not hearing any media report on this. And the NYT had this out there, and no one is discussing this except for us.
The New York Times was a part of this.
Yep.
They were putting out stories based on this Fusion GPS dossier. And now we find out, and this is another quote from that article, many of the dossier's most explosive claims, like a salacious P tape featuring Mr. Trump, or a supposed meeting in Prague between Michael Cohen, Mr. Trump's former attorney, and Russian operatives, have never materialized or have been proven false. The founders of Alpha Bank, a major Russian financial institution, are suing Fusion GPS, claiming the firm libeled them.
Incredible.
And look, I know this is my hobby horse, and this is why you guys want me to talk about this, but I said this on the episode right before the election. There was a coordinated campaign by the left, the media, the intelligence community in Washington, D.C., to undermine President Trump from the moment he was elected. The moment. Hey, congratulations, President-elect Donald Trump. My name's Jim Comey. I'm your FBI director. Hey, did you pee on some Russian sex workers? I've got this document here that says you did. Hey, I just wanted to make sure you got to look at it before I leak it to the media.
like and the thing is, it outkicked its coverage in one respect. Like, it's a very J. Edgar Hoover move, right? Where a deep state is basically trying to pressure a president by saying, we've got goods on you, whether it's true or not. We're going to make things look like they are, right? Which is the obvious impression that gives. But the second part is that Trump, of all presidents that we had incoming to the White House, didn't have any political experience, right? He never dealt with the director of the FBI making such claims before, right? So obviously that's going to provoke a reaction from a private citizen who's become president of the United States that doesn't understand sort of like why somebody would ever do something like that.
And not only that, Holmes, like, you got to like even go back to during the campaign. You had, people from the defense and intelligence establishment signing open letters saying Donald Trump should never be president, shouldn't give him access to the nuclear codes.
Yeah, right.
Publicly, they were saying that. And then your own FBI director says, hey, man, congratulations on being elected president. Here's this dossier. I'm not going to tell you that it was furnished by your political opponent who you just defeated. And I'm going to leak it to the media as soon as I'm out of this meeting. But I just wanted to let you know, give you a heads up. What would you do if you were Donald Trump? No political experience, you're an entrepreneur or businessman, and you just got elected president. Would you kind of think these people are against you?
Yeah.
You'd fire his ass, which is what he did, which is what caused 3.5 years of investigations and multiple impeachments.
Well, the story, goes on to say a lot here. So, I mean, number one, it wasn't just, Comey, injecting the dossier into the media ecosystem through this meeting with Donald Trump. Also, in the fall of 2016, again, this is from the article, Fusion GPS invited select reporters from the Times, the New Yorker, and other news organizations to meet Mr. Steele. This is, the guy who put the dossier together in Washington, and received briefings on what they had uncovered about the Trump campaign in the Kremlin. As is often the case in the world of private intelligence, the meetings came with a catch. If news organizations wrote about the dossier, they had to agree not to disclose that Fusion GPS and the former British agent, that's Mr. Steele, were the sources of the material. No fingerprints.
So here's the thing that I know most of you listening are going to say, like, what an unbelievably, just an outrage. That's honestly the way that business gets done. It happens 85% Democrat to journalist. But that's the way a lot of those things operate. The difference here is that there was absolutely no effort to try to verify any of the claims that were made in the dossier independently. And like, most of these publications chose not to publish the dossier, right? So that's their way of saying, like, look, that's, we're not going to, we couldn't independently verify it, so we're not going to. But the narratives contained within were a thread line that pulled through every single piece of the coverage for a 3.5 year period.
Yeah, but and here is where it's different, Holmes, because you're right, absolutely. There's opposition research floating around Washington, D.C. at all times. But when you are the FBI director,
yeah, that's the difference.
Or the Justice Department or the CIA, if you're an intelligence officer and you're lending credence to this garbage and becoming a source for the media to talk to about this garbage, it's a conspiracy against the president, is what it was. It was absolutely a conspiracy against the president. And in a Rolling Stone article, Matt Taibbi cast the media's handling of the dossier as a replay of a press disaster. The reporting after the Persian Gulf War, which claimed that Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction. Yeah, I mean, that should have been a wake-up call. It should have been a wake-up call that our intelligence community and Defense Department use the media to launder bad intelligence. Frankly.
Yeah, it's 100% right. I mean, here's the Taibbi line that I have taken with me because I thought it was remarkable in his candor. The weapons of mass destruction affair showed what happened when we don't require sources to show us evidence, when we let political actors use the press to confirm their own assertions. Are we ever going to own up to this one?
No.
The answer
No,
is
they
no.
won't.
The answer is no. Well, no, we're already on to the next. We're already
I don't
on
know
to the
how we
next.
fix this. I don't know, like, guys, I don't know how we fix this.
I think this is part of it. I
But
think this is part of it. They
yeah.
got used to there not being outlets like Ruthless, because you know, they're used to dealing with these like TV networks and these journos who like will cut deals and be like, all right, guys, you know, hey, you know, we'll all grab drinks afterwards anyways.
Nope.
Not here.
Nope. I don't care if you're a reality TV show.
You're not getting that deal.
Step us, you're gonna
get called out.
You're gonna get called out. We don't need it. And it's not all like, we're not an access journalist outfit. We don't give a shit.
Yep.
This isn't even our job.
Not our job, folks.
You know, we care because of our audience, because our audience cares.
And,
but I agree with you, Smug. This is
how we hold these clowns accountable.
Yeah.
The people have to know. And I think that's a big part of why people are turning away from like corporate media in general, why you're seeing the rise of things like Substack, because the traditional sources of fact, like in society, where does a person turn to for truth? You know, it used to be, okay, oh, you know, we got Walter Cronkite, or you watch the 6 o'clock news with Peter Jennings or something, you know, or, well, you know, the New York Times wouldn't publish something unless they checked those facts twice, right? Wrong. It changed. And they never admit their mistakes. Like, you won't see anything about in the New York Times saying, okay, folks, we need to let everybody know that there's corrections here. We, in fact, used these fake spy sources who are just feeding us nonsense, and none of that Russia stuff that we told you for 4 years was true. They're not going to do that.
No, they got exactly what they wanted. They got rid of Trump. That's it.
And they
goal accomplished.
And they have prosecuted a whole bunch of people, and you know, I mean, basically emptied the bank accounts of a whole bunch of people who didn't deserve it because they were trying to defend themselves in courts of law that they never should have been in the first place.
Bingo.
You know? All right. Well, let me turn to a happier topic, because we have been saying here on the Variety program, don't take the bait. The American people aren't taking the bait.
Nope.
American people are focused on the prize. And guess what? We had Texas, we had Nebraska, we've had all kinds of evidence of special elections across the country. Well, last night we had Pennsylvania.
Big time win for conservatives.
So Pennsylvania, you all may not have heard about this. It wasn't totally on my radar, but apparently there was a ballot question in Pennsylvania that had to do with Governor Tom Wolf and his emergency powers in Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you heard Chris Christie on Tuesday talking about how Governor Murphy hadn't gotten any attention for all of his problems with coronavirus because of Cuomo. That much is true. It is also true of Wolf in Pennsylvania.
Yeah. And I mean, this is a very key thing, folks. The data is really starting to become public. Wolf may have done a worse job than like even Cuomo in terms of like the death rates that they had in their retirement homes. So absolute mess.
So anyway, they have a statewide election, right? This is the state that everybody says, well, Republicans that got lucky in 2016. It's a blue state. Nobody cares about Republican points of view. Like, they rejected Trump in 2020. You know, that Senate seat's open in 2022. Like, it's just a blue state. Don't worry about it, folks. Pay no attention. The people of Pennsylvania have a different point of view on this. They voted on this question yesterday about Tom Wolf's handling of the pandemic and whether they could curb his emergency powers, essentially. And by a vote of, you know, roughly 54-46, we're going to take your power away. We're going to give it back to a Republican legislature. It seems to me there is one common theme that's emerging here, folks. Republicans came to play.
Republican voters. The conservative base is so enthusiastic, and I keep harping on this. Every elected official, every candidate in this country, you need to listen to the voters. You need to listen to the grassroots. You don't need to listen to what reporters want you to talk about. You don't need to take the bait. The story is not what the journo's asking you. The story is what the voters and the base are telling you.
And to that point, there was a piece that came out today in the National Journal where Democratic pollsters actually opened the kimono on what they are telling House Democrats about their political standing. You will not be surprised to find out it runs a little contrary to what you read in the mainstream media.
Yeah.
This is another opportunity for our listeners to kind of get a peek behind the curtain here. Whenever you have a partisan pollster putting out numbers that are bad for their party, it's a fire alarm.
Yeah.
They're trying to send a message
to
people on Capitol Hill. Hey, this is a problem.
Y'all got issues, and I can't go through the traditional means because the people in power aren't listening to me.
Yep.
Right? So in this case, Democratic pollster Stan Greenberg, who has been, sort of the cornerstone Democratic pollster for a long period of time in Democratic politics, somebody that all of the Democrats listen to, put out a survey that showed that the generic ballot, amongst other things, the generic ballot is tied, right? Tied. This was a number that was anywhere from 7 to 10 plus Democratic advantage last November when House Republicans picked up seats, right? So it's headed in the wrong direction. More importantly, in a bunch of these swing districts, you've got Republicans picking up a fair amount of intensity with conservatives highly, highly motivated.
Yep. There goes that narrative. Remember the media's been saying, oh, the conservative base is discouraged. They're all angry. They're showing up, folks. They're showing up.
So now when you reverse engineer this and understand why this is all just one big campaign, we're talking about Liz Cheney. We're talking about January 6th investigations. We're talking all about those things in the mainstream media so you don't focus on the very true reality that is the American people are very nervous about the Biden agenda, and conservatives are uniting in a way that they haven't in a long time. And people are ready. It is May of the off year.
Mm-hmm.
And you already have a consolidated conservative movement that is ready and actually delivering results in all of these special elections.
And Holmes, I mean, I don't know what episode it was. It was a couple of weeks ago, but you mentioned it, and I think it's so incredibly true. It's like, coming out of 2008, after Obama had his election, we were in a terrible spot.
Yep.
The conservative movement, and just by the numbers, in a real horrible spot in the Senate and the House. And we're in a much better spot now.
Yep.
And we are consolidating a lot sooner than we did then.
Mm-hmm.
And we're talking Liz Cheney. We're talking January 6th. That's what the media wants.
That's why you saw McCarthy come out yesterday and say no partisan commission. That's why you heard McConnell come out yesterday and say no partisan January 6th commission. It's not that there isn't an investigation going on. There's dozens of investigations going on. What the interest of the Democrats and the partisan media, corporate media, is perpetuating news hooks to continue to talk about that, to distract you from the fact that they're trying to implement Marxist policies in every school district in America.
Yep.
That's it. But you know who's not listening? Voters. They're much smarter than Democrats. I mean, that is the fundamental difference between Republicans and Democrats at some level. The fundamental difference is Republicans actually trust people to make decisions for themselves. They understand that different families need different things. They want people to express their own individuality and create their own future. Democrats, they want a top-down socialist dictation by a state, by a government, to tell you when you can go to school, when you can work, how much money we're going to send you, whether you can keep the things that you've earned or not, whether you can go outside without a mask. All of those things are what they have in mind, and you're seeing it play out in Technicolor. And the American people, if you listen closely, are telling you what they think about that.
And here's something. So like I've harped on this a bunch about how many of these Dem governors had this just absolute overreach during the pandemic. Like, without any legislature, without any votes, they were making all these decisions about, okay, how long are we going to take ballots for? What are hospitals going to be required to do? One of these great examples is exactly what happened with this governor, Tom Wolf, where you look at, like I mentioned it earlier, you look at the numbers that happened in that state. So originally what the media was telling you is like, they accused Republicans, like, since Pennsylvania, this is a quote from the AP. Since Pennsylvania's first coronavirus spike in cases last spring, Republicans have accused Wolf's administration of fueling the outbreak in nursing homes by ordering the facilities to readmit residents who had been treated for the virus in hospital. Yeah. Republicans pounce. The story here is Republicans pounce, not that
not killing people.
Not that the governor is sending people with coronavirus into senior centers where that population is the most susceptible of all.
It's just so incredible. It's so incredible. It's like what Donald Trump says, these people are so dishonest.
Yeah.
Pounce sees.
And then here's to get into the weeds with the exact number. So Pennsylvania is the most populous of about a dozen states where, the majority of coronavirus related deaths, happen in these long-term care facilities. Pennsylvania's nursing home death rate is 0.13 per 100 residents. That's 33% higher than the national average. But what does the media tell you? They tell you DeSantis. Oh, DeSantis is murdering everybody. It's a Death Santis. He's killing everybody. You don't hear about how Wolf had, there are more nursing home resident deaths per 100 people in Pennsylvania under Wolf than there were in New York under Cuomo. That's how bad he did.
And also their target selection says something, that they're all about DeSantis now for obvious reasons, because Republicans think highly of DeSantis and he's sort of moved up the ladder in terms of, presidential buzz and all these things. But remember last spring when Kemp was sort of in that conversation before the dispute with President Trump and everything else, Kemp was the target too.
Yeah.
Right.
It's the media acts completely in the interest of the Democrat Party. They saw, before the pandemic, you had DeSantis with his approval rating was sky high, even among Dem voters. They're like, well, I mean, he's doing a great job. What else can you say? And he ended up doing a wonderful job during the pandemic. Dem see this and they're like, oh my God, all right, we got to go crazy. We have to have the people blame DeSantis, who did a good job, instead of, and we got to cover up, Cuomo. We got to cover up what Wolf did in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, but I guess, my point about the targeting is, so Kemp wasn't a clear and present danger, had the same results as DeSantis, but they decided to do 60 minutes on DeSantis, right? Yep. I put Abbott in the same category in Texas, right? He's like not a clear and present threat to Joe Biden as they see it right now at this day and age. So they don't focus on that. They focus on DeSantis.
Right. In any normal media environment, you would have that quote from Joe Biden saying it's Neanderthal thinking to reopen Texas. And the story would have been about Texas. Did it succeed? Did it fail? Straight news story, right? And that would be the dichotomy. It's like, here's what the Democrats say. Here's what the Republicans tried. What were the results? But of course, and to your point, Holmes, it wasn't a threat what was happening in Texas. It's a threat in Florida because DeSantis might run for president.
Yep.
That's right.
And I want to put this data out, these facts as of today, because, hey, maybe we got some journalists listening. Maybe we got some operatives listening. Maybe we got someone who wants Oppo on a candidate running for governor in Pennsylvania
or California.
Yeah, right. So in Pennsylvania under Wolf, as of today, they had total cases 80,835 of coronavirus. Total deaths.
This is the long-term care facilities, right?
Only long-term care facilities, correct? Yeah, they had 80,835 cases in long-term care in the senior centers, right? They had 12,565 deaths in those senior centers. They had over 1,500 facilities affected. The percent of the state deaths from these long-term senior care facilities, 51.6.
It blows your mind. It is a national scandal that this isn't a discussion everywhere. The people of Pennsylvania have suffered an incredible loss at the hands of these mad people.
Yep.
And nobody's paid any attention at all. Instead, we're talking about Ron DeSantis, who managed to get his economy up and running while keeping everybody safe at the same time. I mean, it's just, guys, this is as bad as you think it is.
Yeah. And the fact that we have to go and hunt down this data because there's no news stories. If there's any real journalists left in this country, they'd be covering this because that is just unbelievable.
So that's 51% of cases in Pennsylvania were in these long-term care facilities. That's
insane.
15.5% of people who got the virus in these long-term care facilities in Pennsylvania died.
That's insane. That's an insane.
How many people from Pennsylvania have you seen on the news who lost a loved one? I haven't seen any.
They won't talk to them. They won't talk to them. They won't talk to them.
I haven't seen anyone. And it's just, I mean, unbelievable. Well, look, we're going to keep an eye on all of that. But we have some candy for you.
Yes, we do.
We at long last, a 3 episode is allowed us to sort of explore new topics, which is nice, but we're still going to give you King of the Hill.
Yes.
We're still going to give you King of the Hill. And I've been on a 2-week losing streak. I'm not happy about it. I'm up against a serious competitor with Radio Free Tom. So I got to go to the top notch. I looked through Ruben. I liked some things that I saw. I ended up going with the man, Matt Dowd. And the reason I went with Matt Dowd is because I think he's got at least one take this week that's the best take I've ever heard in the history of King of the Hill. Let's go. What should we go ringside with it? What do you want to do?
Yeah, let's do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention, please. Once again, it's time for King of the Hill. In the blue corner, hiding out of his own Twitter account, standing 5 feet 9 inches tall, and returning for a chance to reclaim his crown, Matthew Mail Pattern Down. And now, in the red corner, hiding out of the Harvard Extension campus, standing 5 feet 11 inches tall, and reigning champion of the world, Radio Free Tom Nichols.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I gotta say, I mean, in everything we do in Ruthless, and I love everything we do, and there's a lot of news, a lot of stuff to cover. This is just my favorite. It's such a treat.
It is. And the people love it. And can you blame them? It's just, it's the most exciting game out there.
And selfishly, like for me, it's great because I literally have no idea what you're about to say.
Yeah, I envy you. It must be so fun to just, and for our listeners, I envy you all so much because it's so fun hunting down this like brainworm nonsense.
Dude, so typically like the day before, I'll look through and, select whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I've got to break out of this slump. So I've made it a week-long effort to really canvas. And I was thinking about bringing somebody new in, but I found this one that I'm like, well, it's like having a number one pitcher in the World Series. Like if you have one absolute win, the chances of you getting to 4 are pretty high. I've got it. I feel really good about this.
Well, so I mean, the question is, do you play that round 1?
I guess we'll find out.
We'll see. I think it's you. It's you first. Or I'm sorry, it's Smug first in round 1 and round 3.
Okay. Gosh, I found some really weird stuff from Tom Nichols this week. Here's what I'm going to go with first. Tom Nichols on May 18th. Well, Work at home for me means dressing as if I'm on a casual day because it helps me focus. I know no one does that, but unless it's shorts and polos in the summer, I wear a shirt with a collar and pants and shoes working at home year round. And this is something I've never understood. Going barefoot hurts. And that's why I never did it unless I was like at the beach or something. What? This is the weirdest shit ever.
I'm gonna give you points for misuse of Twitter for sure. What the fuck?
Folks, my feet hurt when I walk on them. Like everyone can accuse Tom Nichols of being soft on Twitter now because, I mean, if you didn't think he was soft before, this settles that. It makes my feet hurt. Barefoot just hurts.
Okay. I think I know. I'm gonna save the dart. I'm gonna save the dart.
Wow.
I'm gonna go with something I think is upper echelon.
Well, that's confidence.
Yeah. The average number of normal flu deaths a year is 36,000. This past year, there's been less than 1,000 flu deaths. Masking, cleanliness, etc., done for COVID has helped the flu. So why wouldn't we continue to mask in regular flu seasons? Seems like a simple thing that saves many lives. So what this asshole is advocating is that after we've beaten COVID, that we should continue to mask. I'm not even kidding. Continue to mask without fear of COVID, just the same fear of influenza that's been around since the beginning of mankind. We should change our behavior and mask accordingly because of the flu, because I guess there's been an approval in mortality rate of flu cases.
Yeah, this guy, I mean, Tom Nichols essentially needs mask for his feet because they're so gentle. Year round. Always wear shoes. It's like, who's that guy from, oh my God, Arrested Development? The Never Nude? That's like Tom Nichols. The never shoes. Or he just never takes the shoes off.
He wears the little jean shorts. Yeah.
Yeah, what I'm appealing to here is the fundamental facet behind King of the Hill, which is these are people who have considered themselves conservatives that have worked on behalf of Republican politics in the past that has led them to a take like this. That is such a fucking leap. Can you imagine advocating? Any conservative you know, can you imagine them advocating for permanent mask use?
Well, so what I like about this, what I like about it is the confidence with which he tweets that, as if these are two, isolated, COVID and the flu are two isolated metrics in a vacuum that happen. And, obviously, if we just wore masks forever, we could stop the flu. And that would be, I mean, you think we've seen less car crashes when we've been working from home? Like, how much rest of the American economy and our way of life and our society should we reorient because some stats went down? I mean, are you fucking stupid?
Fewer cases of food poisoning, shut down the restaurants.
I mean, I'll tell you what, folks, you're not going to stub your toes if you wear shoes always. The guy he's in his pajamas, he gets into bed with his shoes on.
Like, look.
That blanket's going to hurt Radio Free Tom's feet.
Smug's tweet that he's brought to this, the thing I love about it is it comes from a place where he thinks he's bragging. Like he's like, I put on my pants, I put on a collared shirt.
I'm such an expert. I wear shoes in the house.
Even when I'm working from home. But like in it reveals himself in a way that is just like so incredibly hilarious.
So fucking weird. So weird.
That you would choose to not just have that thought, but believe it had to be delivered to the public on a social media platform is such an incredible level of confidence that I could never achieve in my life.
It's absolute madness. He was like, "This is expertise in action, folks."
They're both so good. They're
Always
both so
is.
good. They're both so good.
Perennial mask use.
I get
Perennial.
it, Holmes. I get it. But what
In
I'm saying,
perpetuity.
I get it. But it's not as unique.
Ah,
This is a familiar take that we're seeing emerge. All of these people who are Russiagate experts for 3 years are now epidemiologists who are going to tell us what we have to do with masking and whatever. What Smug has provided is just top tier.
Yeah,
I got to give it to him. Round 1 to Smug.
Let's go.
I think the minions have rightfully expressed some concern about some bias.
Wow.
It's look.
Now he's going after the judge and jury.
We are still in deliberations. You're coming at the jury. This is that is a mistrial right there, sir.
Unbelievable.
I cannot believe.
I'm going to hold you in contempt. I'm holding you in contempt of court.
I can't believe that not wearing shoes beat perennial mask use.
You are in contempt of court.
Absolutely.
I'm getting this is a hanging jury. This is unbelievable. Okay.
Round 2, you have to go first. You better bring the dart.
All right, so I'm gonna just put this round away because I've gotta use it. To me, this isn't even clear. Matt Dowd. I don't remember Republicans 4 months after 9/11 saying, "Can't we just move on from this?"
God.
Jesus Christ.
The direct analog of 1/6 and 9/11. Thousands of people killed in a terrorist attack.
Wow. I mean, shit.
I saw it had.
Throw it, Smug. Throw it.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm throwing it. I'm letting him take this one.
Round 2.
Here's a Nichols one, and this is in honor of what Holmes just threw out in round 1. This is Nichols on May 13th. I may do this too, wearing a mask during cold and flu season, and I will likely wear a mask in coach for the rest of my aging life to prevent colds and flu, but not because of COVID.
See, look, Holmes. The judge and the jury is vindicated.
Yeah,
this is a take a dime a dozen on that side.
No.
Dime a dozen.
That one, I believe is a incredible take because he's upped Dowd in 2 ways. He's talked about coach.
Yeah.
And the distinction between coach.
No, it is incredible content.
Here's the thing. It's great because like so many times his tweets are just dripping with utter disdain for the common man that he's like, in coach. If I'm in coach, you better believe I'm putting a mask on around these people.
The distinction is the key. It's not whether he wears the mask or not.
Yeah, he didn't say when I'm flying. He said if I'm in coach.
if I'm with these peasants.
We're here with the peasants, folks. Gotta put a mask on.
I feel like if that was a head-to-head round oneer, I would have been content to take an L on that. That's a great tweet. It's too bad it had to go up against.
Yeah, I mean, it threw against us.
It just can't compete with what Holmes brought to the table there.
Yep, that's a brain room take. Yep.
All right, Smug.
1-1.
What do you got for the closer?
Okay, so this is yet again we were speaking about Tom Nichols' disdain for the common man. So, folks, Ohio announced, as most of us have heard, a lottery for people who get the COVID shot. You know, you get the shot, you're entered in the drawing, you'll win like $1 million. Tom Nichols, May 18th. I'm looking down on it and accepting it as necessary, but I think you can do both. To say that if it works, we have to do it. But what a pathetic nation we've become that we have to induce morons to save their own lives and ours with lottery tickets and French fries.
He added the French fries.
Right?
Yeah,
I mean, he's too good for French fries. Well, name me a better side dish.
The French fries is a nice addition.
Yeah. Too good for French fries.
What an incredible piece of shit he is.
He is. He really is. And whenever I'm going through his tweets to hunt down the ones for King of the Hill, I'm just like, man, what an asshole. Like hanging out in person with Tom Nichols must be the absolute worst.
I
If
just
he has
don't.
pets, I bet they try to run away all the time.
You know, I just will never understand people like him who make a career at punching down on, regular people.
Yeah.
Like, what a fucking loser you are.
You're like, I'm wearing a mask if I'm around you folks and coach, and good God, no French fries for me.
Well, and the beautiful thing is a guy like that couldn't hold a wet paper bag in an actual intellectual conversation.
Yeah, right.
Absolutely not.
Right.
Absolutely not.
Right.
It's all faux. It's like Steve Schmidt. It's all just let's make up a whole bunch of multi-syllable words where we can try to trick people into thinking we're actually an intellectual when we're actually complete rube.
Bingo. That's Nichols in a nutshell. That's it. Nailed
That's
it.
Actually, it's a pretty good formulation for that entire crowd, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's catnip for the morons.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this is the other side of this. It's either the faux intellectualism, but where that blends with me that makes a real knockout punch is the West Wing Sorkinism theater of it all, that you believe in the theater of government. And that's basically why, in addition to the put away shot that I just read, I selected Dowd this week, because this one, to me, encapsulates everything that is the never Trump conservative. Matt Dowd. This is such a crucial moment in our history. Looking back when we are either in years of darkness or those of light, we will know whether people of good conscience stood up to hate, lies, and undemocratic plans with the power of love, truth, and justice. We must choose today.
God.
And in the context, it's tweeted the day of the Liz Cheney vote.
Yeah. I got to say, I really appreciate, Holmes, your little preamble
The
there.
dramatic reading, I'll give
for your closing statement, and then coming in with the dramatic reading was good.
Well, I tried to give it the Sorkin, emphasis. I felt like you'd see play out in one of those nonsense Hollywood scripts.
Yeah, no, I love the juxtaposition, that he works there in, hate and love and whatnot.
In light and in
light
dark.
and darkness.
If you ever write, if you're a speechwriter, and there's a ton of them that listen to this podcast on Capitol Hill, if you ever write the words light and darkness, good, evil, and do like that dumb, trite, stupid bullshit, tear up the copy and start over. It's like the number one way to appear on Ruthless.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to start like surfing, and I don't care if you're a Republican or Democrat. I'm going to start looking at the House floor and Senate floor. When I see that, it's going on the show.
Yeah.
I love that threat. That's great. All right, Smug. Give me a reread or a closing argument.
I mean, I gotta give a reread.
Because I feel like Holmes got the opportunity to really editorialize a little bit more, and I want to give you the opportunity as well.
Sure. I mean, I'm just gonna do the reread. In regards to Ohio having a lottery for the shots, I'm looking down on it and accepting it as necessary. But I think you can do both. To say that if it works, we have to do it. But what a pathetic nation we've become, that we have to induce morons to save their own lives and ours with lottery tickets and French fries.
That was a good read.
It was a good read. The French fries is good. I'll
Yeah.
give him that.
Just to imagine being mad about French fries, dude. That's like the happiest of food. Oh, we got fries on the side? This officially rules. Let's go.
Gosh, this is a tough one. This is a real tough one for judge and jury.
Just think of West Wing.
Well, look, I mean, I obviously hate the West Wing, and I hate everybody who likes the West Wing. I think it's a terrible show that has brainwashed an entire generation of operatives and media personalities to think that government is created by, getting everyone in the room and the president gives a speech and that solves all the problems. And of course, that's complete horseshit. And the people that talk the way that Matthew Dowd just talked don't know anything.
There was literally no actual knowledge.
It's nothing. It's just pablum for RTs.
Good, evil, Lightness in the dark.
And this is getting me worked up. And that's the reason why Holmes wins. Dowd's
Yes!
only champion.
Boom. I mean, hey, Dowd had fire. Dowd had fire. We know he's a player. I don't feel bad. Dowd came to play. Dowd's a player. I do appreciate, however, how clearly we established how truly terrible a person Tom Nichols is during this like brief reign of his. I mean, he's an absolute asshole. There's like no other way around.
Just the worst.
I feel like Smug's tweet selection was curated to a point where we really got the full flavor.
Yeah, you know what? I kind of felt like this may be coming to an end. I'd heard Dowd had some fire takes, and I wanted folks to leave. You know, his last stand, his last save. Remember, Tom Nichols is the guy who wears a mask in Coach and is too good for prize. That's like
he really did. He left it all out on the field.
Ultimate asshole.
Yeah, it's great.
I got some minion help. I got some minion help throughout the week. People were flagging different things. I think they felt like I got a raw deal. What they wanted was me to field a good champion. Shout out to Dr. Senior Legal Analyst E. Garble for
yes.
For flagging early the put away shot. Because once I saw that, I was like, man, I don't know what else he's got, but that's one in the bank for sure.
I swear, we have the best listeners in the planet ever. No one could ask for such wonderful people that they like hunt down these crazy takes. God bless them.
I love it. Well, we'd love to introduce to you a new interview.
Oh, wait. We had an interview scheduled, right? It should be playing right now. Oh, whoa, I forgot. That's right.
Instead, Michael Duncan's going to sing to us.
No, I'm not singing. I'm not doing it. I promise you I will sing next week. I just wasn't prepared.
So remember, folks, if you're trying to be an actual candidate, you follow through on what you promise. This is like student council. At student council, you know that. Let alone attempted governor run. We had a governor on the other day. He showed up on time. You can do it.
It turns out if you can get like a former Secretary of State to get there on the minute, and you got like senators and congressmen who have no problem.
Yeah.
Presidential candidates everywhere. When you're like a third tier sort of like also ran.
Yeah.
Set your alarm.
Yep. That's all it takes, folks. So great episode either way. Thank you all so much for listening. Tell your friends. So until next time, minions, keep the faith, hold the line, and own the libs. We'll see you on Tuesday. Stay ruthless.
And I would do anything for love. I'd run right into hell and back. I would do anything for love. I'll never lie to you, and that's a fact. And I'll never forget the way you feel right now. Oh, no way. And I would do anything for love, but I won't do that. No, I won't do that.